A single father's world shattered in 1 second. 3 gunmen, 1 injured female cop, and an impossible choice. Marcus threw himself in front of the bullets, never knowing that dying for a stranger would lead to the greatest love story of his life. What happened next morning changed everything forever. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching, also like and subscribe for more stories. Marcus Williams wiped the sweat from his forehead as he locked up his small grocery store. It was 9 p.m. and the streets of downtown were quieter than usual. His 8-year-old daughter Emma sat on the counter inside, swinging her legs and humming a tune from her favorite cartoon. "Daddy, can we get ice cream on the way home?" Emma asked, her big brown eyes pleading. Marcus smiled. "Sweetheart, it's late. Tomorrow, I promise." "You always say tomorrow," Emma pouted, but her smile returned quickly. She knew her father always kept his promises, even if it took a little longer than expected. Life had not been easy for Marcus. 3 years ago, his wife Sarah died in a car accident, leaving him alone to raise Emma. He worked 16-hour days at his small store, barely making enough to pay rent and put food on the table. But he never complained. Every struggle, every sleepless night was worth it when he saw Emma's smile. As they walked toward his old pickup truck parked across the street, Marcus noticed something odd. A black SUV was parked at the corner with its lights off. 3 men stood near it, talking in hushed voices. Something about their body language made Marcus uneasy. He held Emma's hand tighter. "Stay close to me, baby." Suddenly, gunshots echoed through the street. Marcus's heart stopped. The shots were coming from the alley next to the bank. Without thinking, he pulled Emma behind a parked car. "Daddy, what's happening?" Emma's voice trembled with fear. "Sure, it's okay. Just stay down," Marcus whispered, his arms wrapped protectively around her small body. More shots rang out. Marcus peeked around the car and saw a figure running from the alley. It was a woman in tactical gear, a SWAT officer. Blood stained her left arm and she was limping badly. Behind her, 3 armed men emerged from the alley, their guns raised. The female officer stumbled and fell near Marcus's hiding spot. She tried to get up, but her leg gave out. One of the gunmen aimed directly at her head. Marcus didn't think. He just acted. "Stay here, Emma. Don't move no matter what," he whispered urgently. "Daddy, no." But Marcus was already moving. He ran toward the fallen officer and threw himself between her and the gunman. A sharp, burning pain exploded in his chest as the bullet hit him. He fell backward onto the pavement, his vision blurring. The officer, whose name tag read Officer Sarah Chin, looked at him in shock. Despite her injuries, she raised her weapon and fired at the attackers. Her backup arrived seconds later, sirens wailing. The gunmen scattered and ran. Emma screamed, "Daddy?" She ran to him, tears streaming down her face. Marcus could barely keep his eyes open. He looked at his daughter and tried to smile. "It's okay, baby. Daddy's okay." Officer Chin applied pressure to his wound. "Sir, stay with me. Help is coming. You saved my life. Why did you do that?" Marcus's lips moved weakly. "She needs me, my daughter." Then everything went black. Emma sat in the cold hospital waiting room, her little body shaking with sobs. A kind nurse had given her a blanket and hot chocolate, but she hadn't touched it. A female police officer sat next to her, her arm bandaged but her eyes full of concern. Officer Sarah Chin couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. This stranger, this ordinary man, had taken a bullet meant for her. He had a daughter who needed him, yet he risked everything to save someone he didn't even know. "Is your daddy going to die?" Emma asked suddenly, her voice small and broken. Sarah's throat tightened. "The doctors are doing everything they can. Your daddy is very strong." "He's the strongest daddy in the whole world," Emma said, wiping her tears. "He works so hard for me. He never complains. He makes me pancakes every Sunday even when he's tired. He reads me stories every night. He can't die. He just can't." Sarah felt tears burning in her own eyes. She had joined the police force to protect people, but tonight someone had protected her. A single father who probably had his own struggles, his own problems, had put his life on the line without hesitation. Hours passed. Emma fell asleep on the hard plastic chair, exhausted from crying. Sarah covered her with the blanket and stayed by her side, refusing to leave. Finally, at 4 a.m., a doctor emerged. Sarah stood up quickly, her heart pounding. "The surgery was successful," the doctor said. "He's stable, but he lost a lot of blood. The bullet was inches from his heart. If it had hit just a little to the left." The doctor paused. "He's very lucky. And very brave." Sarah exhaled in relief. "Can we see him?" "Not yet. He needs rest. Maybe in the morning. Sarah nodded and sat back down next to Emma. She watched the little girl sleep and made a silent promise. She would make sure this family was taken care of. When Emma woke up, sunlight was streaming through the hospital windows. She blinked and remembered where she was. Panic seized her heart. Daddy? He's okay, sweetie, Sarah said gently. The doctor said we can see him soon. Emma looked at the officer with red, puffy eyes. You're the lady my daddy saved. Yes, Sarah said softly. Your daddy is a hero. He saved my life. He's always been my hero, Emma whispered. 20 minutes later, they were allowed into Marcus's room. He lay in the hospital bed, pale and weak, with tubes and wires connected to him. But his eyes were open, and when he saw Emma, he smiled. Daddy? Emma ran to the bed, careful not to hurt him. Hey, baby girl, Marcus's voice was hoarse but warm. I'm sorry I scared you. Don't ever do that again. Emma cried, holding his hand tightly. I promise, Marcus said, though they both knew he would do it again in a heartbeat if it meant protecting someone. Sarah stood at the doorway watching them. She felt a strange mixture of emotions, gratitude, admiration, and something else she couldn't quite name. Marcus noticed her and tried to sit up. You're the officer. Sarah Chin, she said, stepping into the room. You saved my life last night. I don't even know how to thank you. Marcus shook his head weakly. No thanks needed. Just doing what anyone would do. No, Sarah said firmly. Not anyone. Most people would have run away. You ran toward danger to protect a stranger. That takes a special kind of courage. I saw you were hurt and those men were going to. Marcus trailed off. I have a daughter. I thought about what if you were someone's daughter too. Someone's family waiting for you to come home. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. My mother waited for me last night. Because of you, I got to call her this morning and tell her I'm okay. Emma looked at Sarah with curious eyes. You have a mommy? Sarah smiled. Yes, I do. And a little brother. And they mean everything to me. Just like you mean everything to your daddy. Emma smiled for the first time since the shooting. My daddy is the best daddy ever. I can see that, Sarah said warmly. A nurse entered to check Marcus's vitals. Sarah stepped back. I should let you rest. But I'll be back. I promise. As she left, Marcus called out weakly, Officer Chin? She turned. Yes. Those men, did you catch them? Sarah's expression hardened. Not yet. But we will. They're part of a robbery crew that's been hitting banks in the area. Last night was supposed to be their last job before they left the state. My team interrupted them and... She touched her bandaged arm. Things went wrong. But because of you, I'm alive to hunt them down. Over the next few days, Marcus remained in the hospital. Emma stayed with Mrs. Patterson, their elderly neighbor who had always been kind to them. Every day after school, Mrs. Patterson brought Emma to visit her father. But as Marcus lay in that hospital bed, reality began to sink in. Medical bills. Lost income from the store being closed. Rent coming due. He had no insurance. His savings account had barely $200. How would he pay for all this? Sarah visited every day. She brought Emma coloring books and stuffed animals. She brought Marcus newspapers and books. But she noticed the worry in his eyes. What's wrong? She asked one afternoon when Emma was playing with a nurse down the hall. Marcus sighed. I don't know how I'm going to pay for all this. The bills are probably in the thousands already. I'll lose my store. We might lose our apartment. Don't worry about that right now, Sarah said. Just focus on getting better. Easy for you to say, Marcus said not unkindly. You have a steady paycheck. I'm a struggling store owner who just lost weeks of income. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she said, You saved my life. Let me help you. I don't need charity, Marcus said firmly. I'll figure it out. I always do. It's not charity, Sarah insisted. It's gratitude. It's the right thing to do. Marcus shook his head. I appreciate it, but I can't accept that. Sarah respected his pride, but she wasn't going to give up that easily. That night, Sarah went back to her apartment and called her captain. She explained everything that had happened and what Marcus was now facing. We need to do something for this man, Sarah said. He took a bullet protecting one of our own. Her captain agreed. Let me make some calls. The next morning something unexpected happened. Marcus woke up to find his hospital room filled with people. He blinked in confusion. Sarah stood at the front, smiling. Behind her were at least a dozen police officers in uniform. Emma sat on a chair, grinning from ear to ear. What's going on? Marcus asked. Sarah stepped forward. Marcus Williams, you showed extraordinary courage that night. You protected one of our own at great personal risk. The police department wants to thank you. One of the officers, a stern-looking captain, stepped forward. Mr. Williams, on behalf of the entire department, I want to present you with the Civilian Medal of Valor. He pinned a medal on Marcus's hospital gown. This is rarely given, and only to civilians who demonstrate exceptional bravery in the face of danger. Marcus was speechless. Tears filled his eyes. But Sarah wasn't done. There's more. The community heard about what you did. Your story touched people's hearts. She handed him a tablet. Look at this. Marcus looked at the screen. It was a crowdfunding page titled, Help Marcus Williams, Local Hero. His eyes widened as he saw the amount raised, $85,000. People from all over the city donated, Sarah explained. Some gave $5, some gave thousands. They wanted to help the man who risked everything to protect someone else. Marcus couldn't speak. He looked at Emma, who was crying happy tears. There's more, the captain said. A local businessman heard your story. He owns several properties downtown. He's offered you a free storefront for 2 years. Better location, more foot traffic. And the hospital has agreed to cover your medical bills as a gesture of goodwill for your bravery. Marcus finally found his voice. I don't know what to say. I didn't do it for any of this. I just did what felt right. That's exactly why you deserve it, Sarah said softly. Good people don't do good things for rewards. They do them because it's who they are. Emma climbed onto the bed carefully and hugged her father. I told you you were a hero, Daddy. Marcus held his daughter close, tears streaming down his face. I'm just a dad trying to do right by his little girl. You're more than that, Sarah said. You're proof that heroes don't wear capes or badges. Sometimes they're just ordinary people who make extraordinary choices. The weeks that followed were filled with healing and hope. Marcus recovered slowly but steadily. The community support was overwhelming. People brought food, helped with Emma, and donated supplies for his new store location. But Sarah hadn't forgotten about the men who had caused all this. While Marcus healed, she and her team worked tirelessly to find the robbery crew. Late one night, Sarah got the call she'd been waiting for. We found them. They're hiding in a warehouse on the east side. Sarah grabbed her gear. This was personal now. These men had almost killed her. They had shot a good man who was just trying to protect his daughter. They needed to face justice. The raid happened at dawn. Sarah led her team through the warehouse doors. The suspects tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. One by one they were arrested. The leader, a man named Victor Reyes, sneered at Sarah. You think you won? We'll be out in a few years. Sarah got in his face. You shot an innocent man. A single father who was protecting his daughter. Because of you, that little girl almost lost the only parent she has left. You're going away for a long time. Victor's smirk faded. We didn't mean to. You pointed a gun at him and pulled the trigger, Sarah said coldly. There's no excuse for that. And I'm going to testify and make sure you never see the outside of a prison cell again. 3 months after the shooting, Marcus's new store opened. It was 3 times the size of his old one, in a prime location with huge windows and modern fixtures. Emma cut the ribbon and a small crowd cheered. Sarah was there, of course. She had become a constant presence in their lives. She helped Marcus stock shelves, taught Emma self-defense basics, and shared meals with them at least twice a week. Mrs. Patterson, their neighbor, whispered to another customer, I think Officer Chin has taken a shine to Marcus. And she wasn't wrong. Sarah had grown to deeply admire Marcus. His strength, his humility, his devotion to Emma. He was unlike anyone she'd ever met. One evening after the store closed, Sarah and Marcus sat on the bench outside while Emma played nearby. I never got to properly thank you, Sarah said quietly. You've thanked me 1,000 times, Marcus said with a smile. No, I mean really thank you. You didn't just save my life that night. You reminded me why I became a police officer. To protect people like you and Emma. Good people just trying to live their lives. Marcus looked at her. I did what any decent person would do. But you're not any person, Sarah said, meeting his eyes. You're special, Marcus. The way you love Emma, the way you work hard every day, the way you face down armed criminals to protect a stranger. That's not ordinary. That's extraordinary. Marcus felt his face warm. I think you're pretty extraordinary too. You put your life on the line every day to keep people safe. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Emma play. Marcus, Sarah said finally, would you and Emma like to have dinner with me and my family this weekend? My mother has been asking to meet the man who saved her daughter's life. Marcus smiled. We'd love that. When the trial for Victor Reyes and his crew finally came, Marcus had to testify. He was nervous. He'd never been in a courtroom before. Sarah sat with Emma in the gallery. She held the little girl's hand as Marcus took the stand. The prosecutor asked him to recount that night. Marcus spoke clearly, describing what he saw, what he felt, and why he acted. "Why did you run toward the gunman?" the prosecutor asked. "You had your daughter with you. You could have stayed hidden." Marcus looked at Emma in the audience. "I saw Officer Chen was hurt and in danger. Those men were going to kill her. I thought about Emma growing up without me, and then I thought about Officer Chen's family. Someone out there loved her, needed her, the way Emma needs me. I couldn't just watch her die." There wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom. Victor Reyes's lawyer tried to discredit Marcus. "Isn't it true you were facing financial difficulties? Didn't you see this as an opportunity to become a hero and get money?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "I didn't know there would be any money. I didn't know anyone would even hear about what happened. I just knew someone needed help and I was in a position to give it. If I had to do it again, knowing I'd get shot, knowing I'd nearly die, I'd still do it. Because that's what fathers do. We protect people." The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Victor Reyes was sentenced to 25 years. His accomplices got 15 years each. As they left the courthouse, Sarah hugged Marcus tightly. "Thank you for everything. Justice was served today because of your bravery." Emma tugged on Sarah's sleeve. "Miss Sarah, will you come to my daddy's birthday party next week?" Sarah looked at Marcus, who smiled shyly. "We'd love to have you there." "I wouldn't miss it for the world," Sarah said, ruffling Emma's hair. As months turned into a year, Marcus's store flourished. He hired 2 employees, which gave him more time with Emma. They finally had financial stability. Emma got new clothes that fit, school supplies, and even signed up for art classes she'd always wanted to take. But more than the financial change, there was an emotional one. Sarah had become part of their family. She came to Emma's school plays, helped with homework, and taught Marcus how to cook something other than pancakes and spaghetti. Marcus realized he was falling in love with her. It scared him. He hadn't felt this way since Sarah, since his late wife. He felt guilty, like he was betraying her memory. One night, Emma caught him looking at Sarah's photo on his phone. "Daddy, do you like Miss Sarah?" Marcus was startled. "What? I mean, she's a good friend." Emma gave him a knowing look that was far too wise for an 8-year-old. "It's okay to like her, Daddy. Mommy would want you to be happy." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "You really think so?" Emma nodded seriously. "Mommy loved you so much. She'd want you to smile again. And Miss Sarah makes you smile. She makes both of us smile." Marcus pulled Emma into a hug. "When did you get so smart?" "I've always been smart," Emma said matter-of-factly. "You're just noticing now." That weekend, Marcus took Sarah to dinner while Mrs. Patterson watched Emma. They went to a small Italian restaurant, nothing fancy but cozy and warm. Over pasta and wine they talked about everything. Their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. "Can I tell you something?" Marcus said finally. "That night changed my life in ways I never expected. Yes, I almost died. Yes, it was terrifying. But it brought you into our lives. And I can't imagine our lives without you anymore." Sarah reached across the table and took his hand. "I feel the same way. You and Emma have become the most important people in my world." "Is it too soon?" Marcus asked. "My wife hasn't been gone that long. Emma's still young. I don't want to." "Marcus," Sarah interrupted gently. "Love doesn't follow a timeline. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It just happens. And what I feel for you, for Emma, it's real. It's beautiful. And if you feel the same way, we can take this as slow as you need." Marcus smiled, really smiled for the first time in years. "I do feel the same way. I'm falling in love with you, Sarah." "I'm falling in love with you too," Sarah said. "Both of you." 2 years after that fateful night, Marcus and Sarah got married in a small ceremony in the park. Emma was the flower girl, beaming with pride. Sarah's family welcomed Marcus and Emma with open arms. Mrs. Patterson cried happy tears. The police department attended in full uniform. The captain gave a speech about how violence had brought them together, but love had kept them together. During their vows, Marcus said, "2 years ago I thought my life was over. I took a bullet thinking I was going to die. But instead, that moment saved me in ways I never imagined. It brought me you. It brought our family together. And I would take that bullet 1,000 times over if it meant I could spend my life with you." Sarah wiped tears from her eyes. "You showed me what real heroism looks like. Not just that night, but every day since. The way you love Emma, the way you work hard, the way you never give up. You're my hero, Marcus Williams. And I promise to spend every day trying to be worthy of the sacrifice you made. Emma, unable to contain herself, ran up and hugged both of them. We're a family now. A real family. The crowd laughed and applauded. 5 years after the shooting, Marcus and Sarah sat on their porch watching Emma play in the yard. She was 13 now, confident and strong. They'd had another child, a son named David, who was 2 years old and currently napping inside. Do you ever think about that night? Sarah asked. Every day, Marcus admitted. It changed everything. Do you regret it? Marcus looked at his wife, then at Emma, then back at the house where his son slept. Not for a second. That moment of fear, that bullet, it hurt like hell. But it led to this. To us. To our family. How could I regret something that brought me so much joy? Sarah leaned her head on his shoulder. You know what's crazy? I joined the police force to save people. But that night you saved me. And not just from bullets. You saved me from a life without love, without family. You showed me what true bravery looks like. Emma ran up to them, breathless and excited. Mom, Dad, guess what? I got accepted into the art program at the high school. They both jumped up and hugged her. That's amazing, sweetheart. Marcus said. I'm so proud of you, Sarah added. As Emma ran back to play, Marcus reflected on the journey. He'd been a struggling single father, barely keeping his head above water. One split-second decision, one act of courage had changed everything. He'd taken a bullet for a stranger. That stranger became the love of his life. That terrible night became the foundation of something beautiful. People in the neighborhood still talked about Marcus. That's the guy who took a bullet for a cop, they'd say. But Marcus never liked being called a hero. He was just a man who saw someone in need and helped. On the 10-year anniversary of the shooting, the police department held a ceremony. They unveiled a plaque in the downtown square. In honor of courage, this marks the spot where Marcus Williams risked his life to protect Officer Sarah Chin, reminding us all that heroes walk among us. Emma, now 18 and heading to college on an art scholarship, stood next to her parents. Little David, now 7, held his father's hand. The mayor spoke. 10 years ago, Marcus Williams made a choice. He chose bravery over fear. He chose sacrifice over self-preservation. He chose to act when others might have frozen. That choice saved a life. It changed a family. And it reminded this entire city what it means to be truly human. Marcus was asked to say a few words. He stepped up to the microphone, still uncomfortable with attention after all these years. I'm not a hero, he began. I'm just a father who saw someone in trouble. My wife used to tell me that we're all connected, that what we do matters, that one person can make a difference. That night I understood what she meant. I didn't think about being brave. I didn't think about consequences. I just thought, someone needs help and I can give it. He looked at Sarah and smiled. What I didn't know was that helping her would end up saving me too. My life had been hard. I was struggling, barely surviving. But that moment of sacrifice opened a door to blessings I never imagined. It brought me love. It gave Emma a mother. It gave me a son. It showed me that sometimes the worst moments can lead to the best outcomes. Emma stood and hugged her father. Sarah joined them. David wrapped his small arms around all of them. The crowd applauded, but Marcus barely heard it. He was surrounded by his family, the family that had grown from ashes and bullets and blood into something strong and beautiful and whole. Years later, when David asked his father about the scar on his chest, Marcus told him the story. He didn't glorify the violence or the pain. He focused on the lesson. Sometimes, son, we face moments where we have to choose between what's easy and what's right. That night, the easy thing would have been to stay hidden to keep myself safe. But the right thing was to help someone who needed it. Were you scared? David asked. Terrified, Marcus admitted. But being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing the right thing anyway. Is that why you married Mom? Because she needed help. Marcus laughed. No, buddy. I married your mom because she's the strongest, kindest, most amazing woman I've ever met. Saving her life brought us together, but love kept us together. David thought about this. When I grow up, I want to be brave like you, Daddy. Marcus pulled his son close. You already are, David. Every day you're kind to others, every day you help someone, every day you choose to do right even when it's hard. That's bravery. You don't need bullets or danger to be a hero. You just need a good heart. Emma, home from college for the weekend, overheard the conversation. She smiled at her father, the man who had sacrificed everything for a stranger and gained a family in return. That night, as Marcus lay in bed next to Sarah, He thought about the journey. The pain, the fear, the struggle, the joy, the love, the family. All of it stemming from one moment, one choice, one bullet. He touched the scar on his chest. It no longer hurt. It was just a reminder of the night everything changed. The night he almost died. The night he started truly living. Sarah stirred beside him. "What are you thinking about?" "About how lucky I am," Marcus said simply. "We're the lucky ones," Sarah whispered. "You gave me my life back. And then you gave me a family to share it with." Marcus kissed her forehead. "Best decision I ever made." And as he closed his eyes, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of his family sleeping under the same roof, Marcus Williams, the single dad who took a bullet for a stranger, smiled. He had started with nothing but love for his daughter. He'd risked everything in a moment of instinct. And he'd gained a family, a legacy, and a love story that people would tell for generations. The bullet had torn through his flesh. But it had opened his heart to possibilities he'd never imagined. And that, Marcus thought as he drifted off to sleep, was the real miracle. Not that he survived, but that he found life on the other side of survival.